everyone, Madilynn Dale here, the chapter goddess. I am a mom, author, blogger, freelancer, podcaster, producer, and overall creative. With this show, I really want to focus on creatives and bring their authentic self to life. How are they motivated to pursue their passions? What have been the struggles along the way? Does self-care play an important role in who they are today and how they connect with the creative flow? Bringing one's authentic self to the forefront is important in this world that we live in currently. Sharing your self-care, your tips, and how you stay on track for things without losing it completely is also important. Self-care is not talked about enough, and authenticity and self-care are what I like to highlight with my creatives, as well as getting to know them. So get ready for a fun and entertaining show. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get ready to meet this episode's guest. Hey guys, welcome back to another chat with me. I have another fantastic author for you guys today. He's got a fun book out there, and there's a lot of work that's gone into it. But before I bring her in, I want to give you a little glimpse at her novel, Daughter of Hades. It's by Mack Little. Also, want to mention this episode is sponsored by Creative Edge Publicity. So, guys, without further ado, let me bring in our guest.
Hi.
Hey, Mack. So, go ahead and introduce yourself to our crowd. Tell them a little bit about who you are and how you got started writing.
Okay. I'm Mack Little. That's my pen name. It's also my real name. My first name is Felicia, but I like to go by Mack. And I was born in Conyers, Georgia, a small town outside of Atlanta. And I grew up there and graduated from college at the University of Dubuque in Iowa. I joined the Army so that I could afford to get a master's degree and met my husband there and came to Texas. And I've been here for 28 years. So I've always wanted to be a writer, at least since I was 12 years old. And everything I've done between then and now has been preparing me for writing. And now that my daughter's is off on her own and out of the nest, I'm able to dedicate all of my free time to my one true love.
Yes. So no empty nester syndrome, right? You just feel it with writing.
Yes. Yeah. I don't let anything interrupt my writing except for when my daughter wants to chat. Then she's I'm too excited.
Yes. So, Mack, go ahead and tell us a little bit more about Daughter of Hades. Where did the inspiration for this amazing story come from?
I've always loved reading, historical fiction and historical romances in particular. And when I was growing up, the lead characters didn't look like me, so it was a bit of a leap of the imagination. And as I got more education and my taste evolved, they were kind of, and my taste evolved to something more complicated, and there really wasn't the historical aspect that I really enjoyed there, the historical accuracy. And then when Diana Gabaldon came along with Outlander, where she was able to successfully mix romance, science fiction, and historical authenticity, I was like, wow, this can be done. And I want to give it a shot. And I had heard about the Maroons in the Caribbean. Maroons are Africans who escaped slavery and formed communities on their own. And I was like, oh my God, they were such a fierce and feared people, and they worked outside the fringes of society, and I wanted to explore that more. So that became the root, that was the root cause of my novel. I want to explore this community and how they fit in the Caribbean. And in the course of my research, I discovered the diversity of the era and information that a lot of people had no idea about. So I was like, oh, it was very exciting. And at the core, it is a love story, because a lot of the historical fiction that's written about Black people, that concerns Black people, is only concerned about social ills, their suffering, their pain. And I wanted to write something that was escapist in nature. I wanted something romantic and adventurous. And I want to put that out there because that was what I wanted. That is what I've been craving, to read, and I still crave it. And I wish there were more out there. I hope this inspires other people, to create other stories similarly.
Yes, that would be amazing to inspire. Like, you guys, seriously, that we need more stories like that out there, especially pulling all of those different things together and making a story, like you mentioned, that is in yours. Tell us more about the characters, though.
Okay, so we have Denny and her twin brother. They escaped slavery in Barbados on a pirate ship, and the pirate ship transport them to Jamaica, where Denny herself joins a community of escaped slaves, the Maroons. And at the same time, there are two Huguenot brothers in France. They escape religious persecution. Huguenots are Protestants, and they escape religious persecution in France. They become indentured servants on a pirate ship that brings them to the Caribbean. And the lives of these two sets of siblings become entwined. And at the center of the story is Denny, who falls in love with a Chinese pirate called Lee. And they struggle to form a life together, but her former owner wants Denny back, and he wants revenge. So basically, it showcases the relationship of the Maroon community with the pirate community. They enjoyed a close relationship, and they were both subverting the socio-economic system of the time. They lived out on the fringes and found a way to live out there and successfully.
Nice. So they kind of have their own kind of like political system in place then?
Absolutely, especially with the pirates. Piracy formed as an answer to an economic system that excluded, most other people. And what they did was they created this egalitarian community. The captain was elected, the quartermaster was elected, and before they went on a sailing trip, articles were approved by the whole crew about compensation and the division of loot and all of that. So it was a very democratic, egalitarian society. So yeah, that was a little fascinating to learn.
Yeah. We've got a few comments here. Margaret's here. Hey, Margaret, thank you for joining us. She says, hey, as an author whose book I have, happy hump day, friends. And then Joe says, beautiful cover.
Thank you.
And Margaret also says, hope things are going well for you both. Yes. So in writing this story and creating more stories along the way, what has your writing routine looked like?
Well, I have a day job. I'm an IT analyst, and I work from home, which is fortunate. But once my work day is over around 4:30, I go outside to the patio. I pack up my notebooks, my writing utensils. Utensils? Is that right? And I grab a couple of cigars, sometimes a little bourbon, not all the time. And I go out on the patio and I write longhand. And every day I write for about 3 hours. And then on the weekend, I sit down and I compile. I type everything up that I've written. And the rest of the day I spend working on revising other works that are in process. So I have a definite schedule that I hate upsetting.
Yes, I feel that 100%. And also, I love that you write it out longhand because there's not many people that do that anymore. A lot of times I find myself doing that as well. Do you feel that it actually assists your thought process writing it out like that?
Absolutely. When I look at a blank screen, I freeze. And when I do type, I want it to look perfect, and I'm constantly editing as I'm writing. Writing longhand just frees me up. I can just, write as it comes to me, and even if it doesn't have to be grammatically correct, it could be just a note jotted about what I want to happen here. And when I sit down and type it up, then I can give it form and give it shape and fill in the blanks of my research and all of that. But I have to get my ideas don't flow unless I'm writing. So yeah, it's very helpful.
Something I like to ask all creatives I bring up on the show is what they do for self-care. And since we're talking about being outside and writing and stuff and everything, tell me more how you utilize your writing and creativity to help your mental health.
I don't know. Is smoking cigars and drinking whiskey self-care, or is it self-destruction?
It depends on how you use it. And your method, I would definitely say it's self-care because it's in moderation and you do it while you write.
Yeah, and it's very relaxing. And otherwise, I like to go on long walks, and that's also helpful to my creative process.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, my characters talk to me while I'm walking. They have these conversations. So I'm like, yeah, and it helps me over a hump sometimes if I'm struggling with a plot point. And I do get massages monthly, So yeah, that's what I do.
Oh, I need to get back to where I do some of those. I love getting massages, just like, especially the 2-hour long ones.
Oh yeah.
So much tension in our bodies. I'm just like, oh, please, just don't stop.
I know, and I'm an old woman. I need it. I'm starting to get aches and pains where, in places I didn't know I had before.
Yes, I know I'm not quite probably as old as you, but like I was not good to my body growing up. I was very hard on it with horseback riding and gymnastics and softball and stuff. And I'm like, why, body? Why do we have to hurt now?
Yes.
Oh, it sucks.
That's just the end. I'm 54. I'm like, it's the end. My life's over.
So let's touch on the recurring themes you had in your story. This one I thought would be an amazing topic because you mentioned on the pre-interview document that women as warriors and subverting the natural order. Let's dive into that. Why did you choose that, or did it choose you?
I think it chose me. As a woman, and this, we have to be warriors in our daily life. We have to fight against the norms and the restrictions that society places on us every day, and and to live our authentic and to be our authentic selves.
Oh yeah.
So I just take our sexuality, our fierceness, our willingness to fight and for what we believe in. I just kind of take it up a notch with my characters and put them, in a more adventurous or dangerous situation to amplify, what we deal with, every day. So yeah, it kind of chose me. That's how I identify with my characters.
Yeah, I love that, and I love that you're highlighting it too, because we need more of that out there. And I think you mentioned it growing up, like you didn't have characters that you could identify with. I feel like putting that aspect gives women characters, better characters they can identify with, because that wasn't around. Like, we didn't have those strong, fierce female warriors.
Exactly. And there's a lot of shame, that comes with being strong and independent and not, having the traditional life path that women are expected to have. And so I like to show characters that live outside these norms. And so people can identify with it and maybe come to terms with whatever it is that they find about themselves that, that society just can't accept. Because they can learn self-acceptance.
Yeah. Did you find that you preferred one of your characters over the other as you were creating the story?
Well, yeah, I kind of fell in love with Lee, the Chinese pirate, the male pirate. I was in love with him, so so I favored him more. And yeah, so that tends to be the way it goes. The male character, I tend to fall in love with.
It's always amazing when that happens, because I've had that happen with one of my characters, and it's such a strange thing to try to explain to someone how that happened. But like, they're this person you've created, and you've created an image and stuff for them, and it's just like it's hard to portray that in their mind, because they're going to get a different view of that person. And you're like, maybe you'll fall in love with it too when you read them. Like,
I'm hoping he's the perfect man.
yes. Oh my gosh.
And also in Daughter of Hades, another character that stood out for me was Ami. And she's a young maroon, and she's very ambitious, and she's innocent, but at the same time she's lethal. And I just love that dichotomy about her. People constantly underestimate her. So yeah.
Yes, never underestimate a woman ever. Period. So, with this novel, as you said, it's out. You've got another one planned. Let's talk about, what does success look like for you?
Success means getting as broad a reading audience as I could, and get people talking about my book and discussing the themes and the subject of my books. And hopefully those discussions will spark other people's imagination. And so success would be seeing a lot more books like mine, with diverse characters, with persons of color at the forefront. I hope my book cause people to take another look at history from another point of view, and try to delve deeper. So that's what success looks like for me. And it's not really monetary. I want to spark a revolution. I want more diverse books with escapist that are escapist fare out there, with persons of color at the forefront. I'm tired of reading about suffering. I know it's important to learn about what happened, what we've overcome, and all that's all important. But it's also important to be able to envision Black people, women, and other persons of color in a different context, and yeah. And we don't see libraries or publishers giving the same resource to escapist literature with Blacks at the forefront, because it seemed less important, but it is. We want to escape like anyone else does, and it's important how to be seen in other roles other than victim.
That is beautiful. And I apologize. My screen just like went dark and then I had to bring it back up. That was weird. I've never had that happen before. So, oh man. And I like that you're putting that out there and encouraging other authors to go for that and put more of it out there, because we do need more of that out there. We need more variety. We need more multicultural books and stories out there, because honestly, that's what I look for when I go for books anymore. I want my son, who's growing up now, to understand that there's more out there. There's more variety and more for us to learn and understand than what we were taught as kids growing up. So, yes. I do want to know more about your book that you've got. You've got a book that you're talking about coming up later this year. Tell us more about that. Tell us the name, because it slipped my mind and I don't have it in front of me.
I'm happy to tell you it's called Shelter in a Hostile World. And it was about one of my characters, Badu, who fascinated me. He was a slave brought over from present-day Nigeria, Africa, and he rose up to be overseer at a plantation. And in Daughter of Hades, he instigated a revolution to rescue his daughter, basically. Yeah. And I want to explore his story more. So, in Shelter in a Hostile World, we look at Badu's life in pre-colonial Africa and what brought him into slavery. And at the same time, it shows his escape from slavery after the fires of the revolution has died down and how he escapes the island. So I thought it would be interesting to explore pre-colonial African culture and their two love stories, competing love stories going on in the time period. So yeah, it was really exciting to write, and I'm just really excited for readers to learn about the Igbo culture, and there's so many weird and unusual things. It was like writing a fantasy. It was like writing a fantasy novel. Yeah. All the terminology that was used, and it's so culturally different. And yeah, I'm really excited for people to read it and to hear what they have to say about it.
Okay, now I'm super curious about the research rabbit hole that you've gone down for both of these books. How much time did you spend like gathering information?
It's hard to say. I'm a pantser, plotter. I'm a pantser writer, so I don't use a plot, and I'm the same way with my research. I knew that I wanted to write about Maroons, and so I started reading about them. And what stood out were the Jamaican Maroons, where the British invaded Spanish Jamaica in 1655, and the Maroons were instrumental in staving off the British for 5 years, and the British ended up having to make a treaty with them. And so that's the start. And then I want to, what's going on in Britain to make them want to come to Jamaica. Yeah. And so that connects it. And then I knew I wanted to have an Asian character in there because I had read about the Asian population in the Caribbean that's been wholly ignored by most history books. So where did my Chinese pirate come from? Yeah. And this happened during the time of the fall of the Ming Dynasty. Mm-hmm. And then, that leads me to another rabbit hole. In the 1640s, there was a mini ice age, and that was the cause of all the political upheaval. So in China, there was drought, famine, and war. So that led to the fall of the Ming Dynasty. In England, there was a civil war. Charles I was beheaded, and Cromwell took over. And this is all happening at the same time. so don't get me started. And I'm just going here and there and grabbing tidbits that I can, and then don't get me started about the pirates. Oh my God. Yeah. So you have an all-male society.
Yeah.
So, it's eventual that some of these men are going to fall in love and whatnot. And the French were very, realistic about this.
Mm-hmm.
So they created a contract for the pirates to enter into. It was basically a same-sex marriage, and it's called mételletages. And the French created that for the pirates. And so if two men were in a relationship and they wanted to solidify it to solidify the inheritance and whatnot, then there was a way for them to do it. And so you have equivalent of same-sex marriage in the 17th century. It's crazy.
Yeah. And that totally, like, my curiosity brain is now wanting to go research some of the stuff you just mentioned, like just dive down that rabbit hole. And I'm like, okay, can I squeeze that in today? Like, is that going to be a thing?
Yeah. So that's what happens. I hear stuff like that, in the ethos, and then ethosphere, or what do you call it? And I just have characters like are born as I, follow my curiosity, go down my rabbit holes.
Yeah. And I can't say I haven't done that because I have. Because my first book series was based on a lot of Native American ideas. And I actually pulled one because it's a kind of paranormal stuff. There was the Kushtaka that I pulled in, and I actually got the idea from the guy that was doing my tattoo because he's from Alaska, and that's what the otter men are called up there. I was like, ooh, that could be really good in my story. And it just like, I plugged that in and I moved past my writer's block, and here goes 3 books later. So like, it's so fun getting curious ideas like that from people and meeting people that can share that information with you. It's just like, ooh, new stuff. Let me bring it in and use that. So
it's irresistible, creatively.
Yes. And so another fun thing, I'm going to wrap us up here pretty quick. If you could offer a piece of advice to somebody out there that's just starting on their writing journey or wanting to start their writing journey, what kind of advice would you offer them, or a tip?
Right. Set aside some time, even if it's just 30 minutes, an hour. Write. Even if you're not working on the story, write in your journal. And explore your feelings or describe a sunset. A lot of times when I go on my walk, I bring what I see on my walk back and I try to describe it, on paper. And so that helps you with your understanding of internal emotions and your ability to describe scenes. So even if you don't have something to write about, you can always keep a journal and write. And also, when you go out, keep a little writer's journal with you. I keep one with me. And a long time ago, I used to. And I wonder if I should do this more, but I would eavesdrop on conversations and look at how dialogues flow. And I get a lot of good feedback on my dialogue because it's authentic. Dialogues meander and they don't really go straight to the point or question answer. So yeah, right.
Yeah, I like it. And I like that you're like prioritize it too, like make it a thing. So, and we have somebody dropping some hearts for us on the show. And guys, I'm going to put this book up here one more time. It's also got Mack's website, which is perfect because I'm going to have her tell you where you can find her and her books. And I think I have a link to the Amazon version of this book in the description if you're watching on YouTube. So, Mack, go ahead and tell us where you're at on social.
I'm everywhere. I'm. Oh my goodness! Hold on.
You're good.
All right.
This is a reminder.
Sorry.
You're good. I think you can be, yeah, hold on.
Let's remind me to stand up every hour.
I love that. That's good though. That's perfect self-care right there. Reminder to move. Sorry.
I'm on Facebook, author Mack Little, MackLittle, and I'm on Instagram at ZenBaby, and that's spelled with IEZenBabie, and same thing for Twitter at ZenBaby.
Awesome. And once again, guys, here's her website, macklittle.com. There it's www.mack-little.com. And you can grab all of her books and check out her bio. She's got some amazing pictures up on there, guys. And I'm Madilynn Dale. Thank you for watching. You can check out all of my stuff at thechaptergoddess.com. Once again, links are all in the description. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Hit that like button, subscribe, and check us out. We've got more stuff on board. I've got another live coming up soon. And also follow me over on Go Indie Now. I am constantly on there and we'll be posting live on This Week in Indies on Sunday. But have a great afternoon, guys.
I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to get future notifications when shows come out. Also, be sure to check out my website. I have a blog featuring this creative with some other fun and interesting questions. You can also subscribe to my newsletter there to stay up to date with all things The Chapter Goddess and Madilynn Dale. Once again, thanks for watching and have a great rest of the day.